and we'll go to full screen. So some of it I'm going to scroll through rather quickly because I want to give, Bryden's going to talk as well. So I think this is the best slide to start with for today. And if anybody's watching and may not know this, we still get questions of if somebody phones in for DIGA, and so, or somebody phones in for Connector or VAMS, and somebody answers the phone and says Disability Foundation, they'll say, have I reached the right place? The answer is yes. All of these societies are registered charities. They have their own boards and they have their own activities, and they'll have lots of things scheduled and happening throughout the summer. But all of these organizations come together to make up the Disability Foundation, right? So if we go back here and we look at this logo, when you think Disability Foundation, and our current vision is to empower and inspire people with physical disabilities to reimagine what's possible. And all of those societies come together to make up the foundation. So let's move into the fun stuff. What is happening this summer? What do we offer? Well, if you ever thought, I want to get out and go hiking, that is a definite possibility. So this is our vehicle here, the Trail Ride. Now, I have ridden in this. I have the video evidence to prove it. You'll probably see that coming up momentarily. But we rent this year round for $10 a day. And again, we only charge you $10 for the days that you use it. So you can sit in this. It's adjustable. You can be of different heights, and we have the different cushions. We even have a chair with a headrest. There's a wheel on the bottom. You can see it can be on a kickstand. It is meant for kids as well. So you can see here our staff is standing right there, but you can put it on the kickstand and in your stable, right? It's like resting a bike. And the whole focus of BCMOS is to give experiences like this. It's thinking about what do you want to see, where do you want to go that you may not be able to in a wheelchair. And having Bryden here with me, Bryden's talked about, we're going to get him out volunteering, and he's going to be in the best shape of his life because he's promised to volunteer, I think, on 30 hikes this summer.
I won't make any promises about my shape, but I'll definitely get out.
Okay. And are you going to promise a certain number, or is the goal to start with one?
Let's start with one and then see how I fare there, and then maybe that'll put me in better shape to do another after that.
All right. Well, so this hike here was on the Lynn Canyon Suspension Bridge, and it's too narrow for wheelchairs, but you can see it works with the Trail Rider. And then remember I talked about the rental program. So the Trail Rider has been literally all over the world and is available in many parts of the world. I always tell people we're not going to offer as a summer program to go to the base camp of Mount Everest, but it is an adventure that our members have done where they've rented it and taken it all over the place. And again, we have summer staff. You may remember the name of Simon Sheehan. This is Simon's third summer working with us, so he must really like BCMOS and hiking. He's coming back. So if you're wondering who's going to be with me on these hikes, it's going to be Simon, and it's going to be our volunteers. And we're going to offer hikes out at Jericho Beach, and we're going to try and offer hikes. There might be one out at Lynn Canyon. You already saw the suspension bridge. Certainly in Pacific Spirit Park, that's kind of our base, and the Pacific Spirit Park's a great way to try things out. We're going to, COVID allowing, of course, really try and have a great summer. And we do have a schedule of hikes. And I should mention, all of this is going to be starting on May 25th. So the booking system, and I'll keep mentioning this, is opening May 9th. So when you see activities and you think, oh, I want to book this activity, that's May 9th. And again, all of the activities are either free or $10. So we try to make it as affordable as possible so you can get out and have an experience. And here's an example. Now, this is one type of hike that we've done, and you can choose the types of hikes that you want to go on. But this is an example of what it's like to be in the Trail Rider. the hike with Sam yesterday too?
Yeah. A little bit more.
How you doing, Eric? Good. All right.
Got a feeling and I'm gonna feel it out. You got me shaking up and moving around. From the birches to the blacktop, we want it all, we want it all. Give me all of it. Don't stop, don't quit. No, 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 not a little bit. Give me all of it. Don't stop, don't quit. No, 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 not a little bit. Give me all of it. Give me all of it. Give me all of it. Give me all of it.
So that's an example of the hike. And remember, we talked about the wheel on the bottom, because just like the song, if you can't go around it, then you go up over it. So with the trail rider, it's great to go along on rides. I have probably done over a dozen hikes myself. But again, you can encourage the Sherpas, but you are along for the ride. And we were always looking for an outlet for our members if you wanted to get out there and physically be in motion and propel yourself, then the paddling program may be a fit for you. So again, everything that we do is safety first. So we talked about some of the safety features on the trail rider, the kickstand, trained staff, safety belts. So here we have our paddling program. Now that happens out at Falls Creek, right along the seawall, and we're going to see a great shot of the Science World. So we're right out front there. So in the kayak, every year we do maintenance on the kayaks, and those orange things are pontoons, so you're not going to tip. You can sit in there, and then the cockpit where you sit has been widened so it's easier for clients to get in and out of. So the clients sit in the front, and the staff or volunteers sit in the back. Here's another version of the pontoons, and then we all have different mobilities, and some days our bodies are a little stiffer than others. So if you can't make a fist, we have these gloves that you can wear that latch on, and it holds on to the paddles. And so really you can use your mobility, and you're out on the water for an hour. And again, this is, so everybody, if you're at all familiar with the Lower Mainland, you have an idea where the Science World is. It's accessible by public transit. There's the Science World SkyTrain station. There's a Canada Line stop in an Olympic Village. And you would book a time with the staff so they would know to expect you, and then you would be out on the water for an hour. And the paddling again this year is going to run 7 days a week. And our paddling season is going to be starting, the staff is going to be around and to do some meet and greets starting May 25th. So Charlotte and Magdalene, two of our staff that worked last year, are coming back. So you're going to see some familiar faces out at the paddling center. And then we have Nicole that's joining the team. So we're going to have 3 paddling staffs, and they're going to be around the week of May 24th, and then officially starting the 25th. And again, our booking system, our online booking system is open May 9th. So our staff will be there throughout the summer to take bookings. If you want to get involved or have any questions, you can just email me, and I will show my email at the end of the presentation. And of course, Bryden's going to talk about how you can contact him as well for VAMS. But this is a picture of our paddle board. And again, we want to do safety first, so you're secured on the paddle board. If you were to ride on the bus or on a handy dart, again, they secure the chair. So it's the same idea on the paddle board. You're secured so you won't move. You're secured so it's steady. And the paddles are only about 1.5 pounds. And really, the staff wants to work with you. So that's Magdalene, Charlotte, and Nicole, to find out what you're comfortable with. If you need help, now again, so the reason why we supply our own chairs is there's a weight limit on the board of 340 pounds. And anybody who uses mobility aids knows that a manual chair, which is what, you have to physically move it, push it, that's why it's called manual, you're manually moving it, is lighter than a power chair. So the boards are not, if you're wondering, could I ride it with my power chair? No, that's too heavy. So you would have the experience of, if you were on our paddle boards, you'd have to sit in these chairs, but it does have a safety strap. You can see she's wearing it. It does have backrests, and the staff is there to help you. So, and here is a little video of people getting out there and enjoying the paddle boarding.
I wanna live, wanna feel the thrill of it. I wanna see every side of heaven. Taste the air, take a ride and breathe again. I want it all right now. And I'm never gonna stop.
So as you can see, it's all about your own physical abilities. So one of the things, of course, that happened during COVID is people were saying they couldn't get to the gym, disability or not, lots of things were shut down. So if there are a few positives that came out of COVID, it's connect together and the virtual content like this that we've developed. And every week at noon, there's different things that happen. And if you are a regular of our YouTube channel, you would know Megan Williamson. So Megan is the personal trainer, and the new personal training is starting May 16th. And that's where Megan works with people to design the fitness program that's right for them. So here's an example of Megan working in person. So you'd get the same instruction online, but you can have one-on-one meetings and say, today I want to work on my shoulders, or I want to focus on my core, or what are good exercises. And then Megan and Arden is the summer staff that's going to be working with Megan. And that name may be familiar because she was part of our hiking staff last year and helped out with personal training in other cohorts that we had. So if you're looking to sign up for the personal training cohorts, you can do so now. Express your interest to get involved. And again, it's a program that can be designed for you. That's through the BCMOS. And then, of course, on a weekly basis, there is personal training content right here on Connect Together that anybody can tune into and watch at their leisure and go through the exercises together in the comfort of their own home. So another thing with BCMOS, this was piloted last year, and you may be watching this saying, well, I didn't know about this. Well, that's because it's a new program. And again, we are working with GF Strong with this program, meaning they are supplying the equipment. They are supplying the cycles. So you need to be assessed by a rec therapist at GF Strong, because safety is of the most important in every program that we have. And the therapists at GF Strong, these are their cycles. They know how to do assessments, and we want you to be as comfortable as possible. And then once you've expressed interest in participating and you've been assessed, if you're new to the program, you've been assessed by a therapist at GF, then you can go for a hand cycle throughout Pacific Spirit Park. And that's accessible by transit, and you could do this with Simon. And usually it's for about an hour. And Pacific Spirit Park's a great park, lots of trees, shade on those hot days, and it's not too busy. So you can develop your skills, and it's a great way to get exercise and do those things. And the hand cycling is going to be starting June 7th, and we're going to be offering that on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So again, if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, what dates did he say? Or if you have any questions, you can either email me or use our info emails, but there'll be continuous updates going out about our programs. But that's everything involved with BCMOS. Now, Connectra, everybody's pretty familiar with. I do just want to, at every opportunity, if Graham, the program manager, or Emily was here, they'd say, remind them of Abilities Expo. So that's happening this coming up here in a couple weeks. That's happening on May 25th on Wednesday. And we're really excited because we're going to be meeting in person. Connectra just had an in-person get together at one of the community centers out near Falls Creek. And now we're going to be doing, this is our major event, or some people call it the flagship event. but it'll be a chance to meet in person. There'll be different vendors there. There'll be artists and lots of things to see and learn and do a meet and greet. So Abilities Expo, free to attend, but mark it in your calendar on Wednesday, May 25th. You'll see me and other staff. And if you're wondering what's going on, there's going to be information about our summer programs, about the foundation, and what's going on in the community. So look for Abilities Expo. And then we're going to go on to DIGA. And that, of course, is the Disabled Independent Gardeners Association. So they are doing, they have the accessible gardens. Maintenance is always being done, trying to make things more accessible and easier to use. A chance to get out in the community and garden and connect with your green thumb. Hopefully you have more of a green thumb than I do, but the gardens are set up so that there are gardening planters, and we hope to, again, COVID allowing, to do some meet and greets or have some virtual content. So stay tuned for Connect Together. It's always your main go-to for what's going on with the foundation. So here's an example. Again, those at DIGA are there to help you if you wanted time in the garden or if you needed an adapted gardening tool. They can work to try and find that either commercially available or through our organization Tetra that we'll talk about momentarily. But again, a lot of the gardening tools, the handles at the end, and this fits up her arm and the handles in the middle. So there's all kinds of options with gardening, and I'm sorry, I'm nothing if not corny. Feel free to keep growing with DIGA, shall we say. So, and this is what we're hoping to do, some in-person events. And if you are ever stopping by GF Strong and you think, oh, there's some new additions just outside the gym there, well, that's the DIGA Gardens. And that's another place too. Even if you're not a gardener, just being outdoors and being around plants can make you feel good. It's therapeutic. The DIGA events are free to attend, and there's different gardening plots that you can work in and get tips. And Shireen, who may be a familiar face or name to the program, will also be involved again this summer. Okay, so now ASABC, again, formally, some of you watching might know it as formally as the Disabled Sailing Association. Again, we did change our name to the Adapted Sailing Association of BC, but everything else is still the same. The Martin 16 boats modified so you can have fun, you can learn to sail. We'll supply all the safety equipment, and it's out at Jericho Beach. And the sailing's going to start this year after the May long weekend on May 26th. We're going to be open Wednesday to Sunday from 11 to 5. We have some returning staff coming. Avi, I should mention, is the program coordinator for BCMOS and ASA. So he'll be down at Jericho a lot, and we want you to have a safe and fun time. We will help you get into the boats. So again, everything is based on what you want to do. Do you want to go for a recreational sail and have somebody take you out? That's my type of sail. I'm not ashamed to say I like to go along for the ride. But you might want to learn to sail. So there's those options as well. And I always say, if you like video games, maybe sailing's for you, because you can actually sail the boat using a joystick. And there's different modifications. So if you have some hand function, you could use it with your hands. And then even if you can't use your hands, you can sail through sip and puff. So Terry, our expert sailor here, he always says, if you can breathe, you can sail. So in the sipping and puffing, you sip to bring the sails in, and then you puff, you breathe, you puff to blow the sails out. And again, you would let our staff know what you want to do or what your abilities are, and they would set the boat up for you. And, we're going to be right there with you until you have confidence and experience. And for those who have sailed for a while and have the confidence and experience, you can sail the boat on your own. but you have to develop those skills. So think about learning with BCMOS and with our programs. And I just saw across my screen that was actually Terry right on cue signing in. So perfect timing, of course. I think he planned that right as I was talking about sailing and he's being shown on the screen, of course it would make sense that Terry would sign in. So here is a video of what it's like to be in one of our boats. Oh, I'll go back. Always helps if you push play. Let's try that again. So those in the sailing community will tell you that the Martin 16 is not the fastest boat, but you can get up some pretty good speed. And if you're not sure you want to sail and you want to just drop by and check out the program, you can do that. You know, all the boats are loaded on land. You'll see our staff there. There's people to answer questions. It's not like I'm an expert sailor either, but every time I'm down at Jericho Beach and the sun's out, I feel good. So, you know, go along on your own pace and your own journey to give things a try. And again, our staff is there to help you. Again, the boats do have a weight on that. I want to emphasize that it's made to be safe, so it's not going to tip. It's actually got an over 300-pound weight on it to keep it upright. So safety is of our utmost priority, but close to safety is having fun. So hopefully, whether it's sailing or whatever the program may be, you have fun with us this summer. So I'm going to move along to Tetra. And Tetra is customized devices. So I'll just show this really quick. You may be watching from somewhere outside the Lower Mainland. Tetra is our national program. So we're across Canada. And Tetra helps our other societies. We'll talk about that momentarily when we talk about VAMS. But Tetra is about, hey, I have a challenge or I want to do something. And again, anybody, when you have a barrier in your way, whether you have a disability or not, you know, you want to remove that barrier so you can be independent. And certainly if you do have a mobility challenge or are facing some type of challenge, those barriers can seem quite large. And it can be at the forefront. And what Tetra tries to do is to hear from our members and say, what barrier is in your way? And how can we help remove that? So many people who contact Tetra have worked with a health professional. And what happens is we have technically skilled volunteers and they'll make a device that'll work for you. So here's two examples. So one is, so first off, Tetra is for all ages and the devices are free. It's by donation. Again, when all the programs were started, it was meant for people to get out there and showcase their abilities or rediscover their passions. So as we talked about, the summer programs are $10 at the most. And Tetra, it's basically by donation. So whatever we talk about today, I don't want cost to be a reason why you wouldn't participate. So here we have a modified table to help this lady get in and out of her fridge. And then the other one is this lady was a florist and she doesn't have the same movement in both of her arms. So what was designed was a bouquet holder. You can see the holes on the top and she can sort out the flowers and stick them into the top and it clamps on the side of the table. And This is like her extra helping hand. It helps her keep the flower steady so she can make the arrangements. And with Tetra, if you're looking to get ideas, we have our online database. So think of this as like our Amazon of customized devices. So, and as devices are being built, you can say to the volunteer, the person making the device, what works for you or what you're hoping to have created. And it can be for all different aspects of daily living. So we've talked about with our summer programs, or if you're going to go meet Bryden down at GF Strong, you do a booking. Well, for Tetra, what you would do is you would put in your own words the help that you need. You would send in a request for assistance. And this is really where you're describing what your needs are. And we'll just go through a couple of examples. There are some limitations to what Tetra can do. We can't build you a fully new accessible house, unfortunately, and we can't buy you a new wheelchair or a cell phone, but we could make you a holder to hold that cell phone. So you can see here, this young boy doesn't have to worry now about dropping his phone. It's right in front of him. He can see who's calling him and dial the numbers. And again, age isn't an issue either. This was for a boy in his music class. He doesn't have the full mobility in both of his arms. So this was designed to help him, make it easier for him to hold the recorder. The project has two aspects. One, he can now wear it hands-free, and also a covering was designed for the recorder, so when he presses down on the holes, he doesn't have to expand his hand as far, and the holes of the recorder are covered. People always ask, how has Tetra changed throughout the years? Well, as we might imagine, more requests to connect with technology, and we're very happy to say more requests to help people, parents, help with parenting, different aspects of parenting. So those requests have been on the rise. And here is a video that I'll play so you can kind of get the idea of some of the devices our volunteers make, how they work together, and how you can meet with a Tetra volunteer.
I applied to Tetra initially because my son was gaining a pound a week for a little while. It was causing a lot of strain on my back, and being able to reach him all the way down at the bottom of the playpen was nearly impossible. And also, my husband and I, we have a regular stroller, but for me, only on flat ground can I push it. So otherwise, I generally put my son on my lap, but after a while, he starts to get pretty heavy on my legs.
We came and saw the crib, took all the parts home, and basically I showed up at Ron's workshop on weekends when he was free, and we just we went to work at it.
We wanted to make sure that she could wheel completely underneath and physically reach into the corners of the crib so that Simon would always be accessible to her.
And so we decided to take off that one side of the crib to put that sliding door in, like closet doors on tracks.
With the bifold doors, I can just open them and he's right there, and then I can lift him, he goes straight to my lap.
But because the front wall would no longer be a structural component, the crib might move this way and that way, kind of rack. So we decided to create a solid wooden frame that plugged in, and we put half lap joints on it so that it was even stronger.
I'm really glad because Simon slept in it really nicely right from the beginning. He really enjoyed it because I was able to get up right close to him and play with him. I could change his diaper, and I could do all sorts of things without having to worry about my back hurting. It's just affected our lives a whole lot.
The stroller was another project that Nicole had requested.
But the laws of physics say that if you put a load out front at a distance, the wheelchair would want to turn downhill on inclines and things like that. So a decision was made to move the child seat as close as we could get it. So I just found a seat that's smaller and more compact. I offset the seat to the left, and that allowed her to, by herself without assistance, reach down on this side and lift Simon up and put him in the seat.
The stroller that we came up with that attaches right to the front of my chair is just amazing because he just loves it. He looks at the world when we drive around, and he feels the wind in his hair, and He's actually quite sad when we come home. He doesn't want to get out of it.
So, and again, we're talking about summer programs today, but Tetra, there might be something that you want to do over the summer. And Tetra could help you with that, a customized device. I'm just going to scroll. I want to play another video because more information, speaking of the summer, is going to be coming out about NetClay. So I want to play this video and stay tuned for more updates. And you'll see more of a presence about NetClay online through Tetra Gear.
NetClay is a device that translates what you can do to what you want to do. NetClay is the first access method device that is affordable and customizable. Users with varying degrees of mobility are able to tailor inputs to their exact needs, allowing them to interact with their computers by plugging in one or more sensors or switches that they are able to manipulate. And by using open source software and inexpensive hardware, NetClay is available at an accessible price. From a single button to joysticks and gyros, users no longer have to consider their barriers. They can consider the possibilities. Please visit us at netclay.ca to explore the possibilities and start your journey with NetClay.
Okay, so now I'm going to stop screen sharing. You've heard a lot of my voice and it's a lot of information to take in, and I will touch base before we say goodbye today. But as I mentioned, I'm joined by Bryden Veinot, who is the coordinator for VAMS, who is joining us live at the VAMS studio. So I'm going to say hello, Bryden, and probably everybody's saying, thank goodness, now somebody else can talk. So why don't you, before you completely talk about VAMS, I just wanted to ask questions, I guess, on behalf of people.
Yeah, certainly.
So, because VAMS has gone through some major changes lately.
Mm-hmm.
And so why don't we start with, in case people are meeting you for the first time today, how long have you been involved with VAMS?
Yeah, so I started with VAMS at the beginning of last year, so January 6th, 2021, I believe. So it was kind of mid-pandemic. Everything was online, so that was kind of that pivot from the beginning of March 2020 when VAMS had to leave the studio just due to health restrictions. But as part of that, we brought on a lot of online programs, and that's kind of how I started with the society. And then just in February this year, we were able to get back into our spot here at GF Strong in our fully accessible studio that has lots of different adaptive gear.
Now, if somebody's watching this, they might say, oh, VAMS has had an accessible studio for a long time, but this is a fairly new location. Talk about this space and how it differs.
Yeah, so before the pandemic, so this was obviously before I had started with the society, but before, the studio was located upstairs, and it was in a bit smaller of a room. Although I will say the walls might have looked a little nicer in that room than in this room, but this space down here, it's over twice as big. We have two pretty large rooms. One room is kind of where we house all of our lessons and recording. And then in the back, we have lots of storage for all of our instruments. We can also have like jams back there with a full band. Just a lot more space, a lot more access to everything in this spot. Another thing too is that we're actually just in a renovation of this space. So we're done our phase 1 renovation, which was nothing cosmetic. It still looks like GF Strong in here, but it was all done in the walls were treated. We have a new HVAC unit, so nice circulating air in here all the time, which I'm sure everyone would be happy with over the summer when it gets nice and warm. You can come down to the studio and cool off down here. But yeah, this space, there's just a lot more room to be able to move around. You can fit multiple wheelchairs in here. And it's really just open for everyone to be able to come in and try out an instrument for the first time, or maybe you want to get back into music after an accident. You might be here at GF as an inpatient and want to get back into music, but also if you're a community client, then you can come in as well.
So VAMS, just like music, really is open to everybody.
Exactly. And with the Vancouver Adaptive Music Society, it's any disability, any age. We don't turn people away. We want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to try music, because it is such a universal language, right? You don't need to speak when you're playing music. You can just play. You can shut your eyes, and when you shut your eyes, sometimes I notice, disability ceases to exist when we're just playing music, because that's all it is. It's just music. It doesn't matter what you're able to do, as long as you can get in the studio, strum a guitar, or hit a key on the piano. That's music.
And somebody might be watching this and saying, I've never touched an instrument before. I'm really interested, but I don't have any experience. So what would you say to somebody who's worried about not having a musical background?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely common for anyone. It doesn't matter if you're a person with a disability or able-bodied. Starting something new can be daunting, especially an instrument. If, maybe you're, later in your life, sometimes people over 30 years old will say, oh, I'm too old to start learning an instrument. Well, to that I say, no, that's totally not true. Anyone can pick it up at any time. It's on you to make that leap, right? And VAMS, we're here to fill the gaps. We want to give all of our clients as much autonomy as possible to be able to play their instrument by themselves. But if that's not a possibility, then VAMS is here to help fill those gaps. And I'm sure we're going to go into more of the assistive devices here in a second. But yeah, Eric, are there more questions?
Yeah, just tell us, you've really talked about how you joined the program. And just questions that I get asked, even when I just did a presentation the other day. But just another question would be, tell us about your musical background. You talked about how you've seen VAMS change, and you've talked about how you joined the foundation, but you also have a love of music. So tell us, your own musical background, or what drew you to music.
Sure, yeah. I would hope I love music in this job. It would feel much like a chore if I didn't. But yeah, so I started playing guitar when I was about 8 years old. And since day one, it never felt like practice. It was just the most fun thing. Cindy, I'll get that question in just a bit. It'll be kind of coming up in a bit about joining VAMS. I'll give you some more information on that. But yeah, so I started playing guitar when I was younger. And then over the years, I started getting a lot better. By the time I was 14, I started teaching guitar at the same studio that I learned at. So that was kind of cool, seeing the kind of being able to get my reps in doing lessons, which have definitely come in handy now in this job. But after that, I took up piano and some drums and bass. And then I really got into producing music and doing a lot of audio engineering. So I did a degree in advanced audio engineering at a private school here in Vancouver. And then soon after that, I landed this job here at VAMS. But pretty much, I love audio, all kinds of it, music, movie scores, TV, anything that has to do with kind of manipulating sounds and making them sound really interesting. That's kind of my bread and butter, I suppose. Yeah.
That's such an audio technician word, manipulating sounds. Some could say creating, but
edit. Yeah.
Well, it's just nice to get to know you a little bit, because
Sure,
I saw you in action in the studio just last week.
Mm-hmm.
Work one-on-one with people. And just to follow up on Cindy's question, how can people get involved?
Yeah, so right now the best way to get involved is just to contact myself over email, or go on our website. You can find all of our contact information there on www.vams.org. But yeah, the two emails you can reach me at are info@vams.org. That's info at VAMS.org. Or my work personal email, which is bveinot, so BVEINOT @vams.org. And yeah, you could just send me an email with what you're looking to do. Now, sometimes people don't fully know what they want to do. They just know they want to get into music, right? So that first step is usually looks like lessons, either piano, guitar, ukulele, bass, drums, kind of those standard ones. That's what I take care of. Anything beyond that is kind of outsourced to our volunteers who can do in-person lessons here at the studio come the summertime, which is great because that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. But also for people that are maybe not in the Lower Mainland or have their reservations about in-person programming, we do offer the virtual lessons as well that volunteers take care of with that. And that can also be piano, guitar, kind of whatever. But we're still building that volunteer roster, making sure that if someone comes in with a request to learn accordion, hopefully we can pair you up with someone who knows how to play accordion. But yeah, the best way to get started is to reach out to me. But and I'm sure there's going to be some changes coming with Checkfront as well, the online booking system that Eric had mentioned recently. There should be some changes with that with VAMS, but as of now, I would just say to email myself.
Sounds good. And what are some other things that you wanted to show us today?
Yeah, so it's perfect that we just talked about Tetra Society because, like Eric mentioned, there's a lot of synergies between our societies. We like to work together. We all meet together weekly, all of the societies and the Disability Foundation. We're all very interconnected in what we do. And Tetra Society has actually helped VAMS with some solutions to playing instruments adaptively. So I'm just going to show up a couple things here. The first one is going to be a piano stand. I know it doesn't sound like much, but when you think about it, your regular piano stand looks like this, an X, right? So if you put a piano on top of that, and if you're in a wheelchair, you might not be able to get close enough to the piano because your legs, your feet, or the front of the wheelchair might hit that cross part, and you can't quite reach far enough with your hands. So what's the solution to that? Well, it's obviously to have a more squared approach to it. So right here we have, this is our adaptive piano stand with a big 88 key Yamaha digital piano on it. And it's actually hydraulic powered. So it can raise up and down on either side very slowly. So bear with me while I do this. But say we wanted to go up because someone was in a wheelchair that was raised a bit higher. So we'd hold up on both sides and then slow and safely we start raising. I know it's hard to see right now, but over time it is going up and up and up and up. So now it's nice and high up, and I could get under here quite easily. But the other thing too is often people in a wheelchair might be leaned back a bit too. And even if we can get your legs under, it might be still a bit too far. So to counteract that, we have this tilt option in here where we can actually tilt. And again, very, very slowly. We don't want to pinch any fingers or hurt anyone. We can tilt this piano. You can see the angle of it changing. And it actually feels way easier and way closer now to be able to play a chord, right? And you can get your fingers in there much easier. So that's our adaptive piano stand, which I swear by. I think it's the coolest thing. But so that's just piano. So the obviously a very popular instrument. What's the next most popular instrument? The guitar, which is my my favorite one. Probably because I'm best at it. I know people usually their favorites are what they're best at, but we're playing.
Bryden, I thought you loved all musical instruments.
Right. I love everything equally, nothing more than the other. Yeah, you're right, Eric. I should correct.
You can't go wrong with the guitar, right?
But guitar,
you might as well play the classics.
Yeah. But yeah, so guitar, kind of let's just talk about holding the guitar first. So if you have limited arm functions or even finger functions, holding the guitar like this can be super awkward, and keeping your arm up can be very tiring. Having this motion up and down with your right arm, or if you're left-handed this way, can be really tiring. So Tetra has designed this incredible device, aptly named the guitar table. And this is right in front of me. I'm gonna just move this out and then point my screen down. And here it is, the guitar table. So can't fully see the entire thing, but basically we have our guitar laying flat on top of the table. We have a little piece of foam under just not to damage the guitar. Right here is a unit that the neck slides into, and you can lock it in with these different butterfly nuts all around. And also kind of along the bottom here, you can see, let me just raise this up. You can see these kind of slats here, kind of openings. You can slide this unit left and right, depending on how large the guitar is, or if you need it to be on the other side because you might be left-handed. So you need to switch over. Yeah, so this allows people to play overhand. So now you can have your elbows rested on your armrests, and you can actually play overhand. I think there's a Canadian by the name of Jeff Healy that some people may know who actually played the guitar like this by choice. So it's a totally viable option for anyone, whether or not you're a person with a disability, you're able-bodied, but it totally takes that weight-bearing aspect out of it. So a little demo, I mean, I could play, I'm not that good this way because I learned like this, but maybe I'll play a little, I don't know, maybe Smoke on the Water for you really quick, just to show you kind of what it looks like. So. Right. So very simple song. I know, I'm not trying to show off too much, but you can see how you put your fingers on top instead of wrapping around like that. So to go even further than that, what if you have even more limited function with your fingers? Say you have some hand function, but the more finer finger movements might be tough. So that's where this comes into play. Now, this is not a Tetra device. This is actually commercially available, and it's called the Chord Buddy. This thing has proven to be quite helpful for people with the limited finger functions. And basically these 4 little buttons, each one press would play an entire chord by pushing down these rubber feet underneath. I know it's very kind of tough to see, but there's the rubber feet that would be pressed down onto the strings. So I'll attach it right here to the what's called the nut of the guitar, which is right at the end where the strings meet the headstock. It attaches right under the fretboard, and you tighten it up nice and tight so that it doesn't shift while you're pressing down. And now, if I were to press down this blue, and I strummed, it would play a G chord. And if I press down the red, we got a D chord. If I press down the green, we got a C chord. And the yellow would be an E minor. So already, just this one device, one press of the finger equals a full chord, which sometimes uses all 4 of your fingers. Like this G chord would require you to use all 4. But just with this, it's one press of a button. I will say though, there does need to be a bit of pressure required. So sometimes you might need an adaptive glove that has something protruding from it that you can use to press down. Sometimes you might not be able to hold the pick properly. So maybe a larger pick would be fashioned with a piece of foam on it to be able to hold, or it might be attached to a glove. Similar kind of thing with being able to press that down. But at the end of the day, and here, let me show you my face once more. At the end of the day, the whole idea is reimagine what's possible. When someone comes through the door and says that they don't think they'll ever play guitar again, to me, I say, no, let's figure it out. There has to be a way. And we figure it out together. We get the guitar table out, set it up, maybe put the Chord Buddy on, and then by the end of the day, they're playing a song on the guitar when they thought never again would happen. So with Tetra's help, we've been able to, there's some other devices, but these have been the most effective and definitely have brought happiness to people so quickly. I so enjoy those sessions when I'm able to show someone this device.
Now, I know you love meeting in person, but if somebody's not ready to meet in person, do you do online lessons still?
Yeah, so again, as mentioned earlier, it is through volunteers, just because I'm trying to house all of the in-studio programs. So myself, I handle all of the lessons that are here in person. And then for online lessons, that would be for our volunteers to do. So we have a couple of volunteers doing piano lessons right now. I've had some requests for some more piano and guitar, I think a harmonica lesson. So got to reach out to some volunteers to help deal with that. But yeah, we do offer online. Just note that it might take a little bit longer to get that one set up, as we do need to pair a volunteer with a client for online lessons.
Over the summer, you're going to have some helping hands, right?
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, with the help from the Canada Summer Jobs grant, we're actually going to be bringing on a program assistant. So that's going to free me up to be able to open up the schedule. And like I said before, we have the 2 rooms here. So once our new program assistant joins us, I'll be able to do a lesson in this room. He'll be able to do a lesson in the other room. We'll have a door in the middle, soundproof. And we'll basically, I don't want to jinx it or make things too hectic, but hopefully we can maybe double the amount of people that we have in the studio right now.
You'll be getting your VAMS on.
I will be getting my VAMS on all summer, yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned, and this is what we believe in and try and do, is help people reimagine what's possible. Now, there's also Reimagine Radio. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I'd love to, and that's actually a perfect segue for YouTube as well. So Reimagine Radio was, again, a pivot response to the COVID-19 pandemic. People were looking for things to do, content, and everything had to be online. So the former coordinator, now manager, Graham Wyman, he started this podcast series called Reimagine Radio. And on Reimagine Radio, you can find an artist feature podcast where we have conversations with our VAMS artists, kind of around their music, around disability, around their life with disability in the music industry specifically. And then soon after, we started a new podcast series called Discover Stories. And this is kind of in tandem with the Disability Foundation's Discover newsletter, but these stories are basically anyone in the community, if you're a person with a disability, maybe a caregiver, someone connected to our community that has a story to share that others might benefit from. I think a lot of people might resonate with the fact that over the past 2 years, isolation has caused a lot of people to go very inward and not reach out for help or not know what help they might need. And with this Discover Stories, we're hoping to, get rid of the stigma around disability, get rid of all of those weird conversations that people are too afraid to have. And we can have them there on the podcast. So this Discover Stories has been a great way to kind of engage the community and start talking more about life with a disability. And all of these podcasts can be found on our VAMS YouTube channel, which was recently launched. You can find it, if you search Vancouver Adaptive Music Society on YouTube, our channel will come up. And on there, you can find our podcast series, you can find music, you can find past performances, and you can also find our Strong X virtual concert series, which again, response to the pandemic, we've been doing for people over the past couple of years, where we rent out an accessible studio or performance area and film and record a full concert for one of our artists. So on there, you can find tons of VAMS content. Don't be afraid to subscribe, please. I know we're trying to get our numbers up there, and hopefully with more subscribers and more views, we can start to spread more awareness and understanding of what music and disability is like.
Sounds great, Bryden. Thanks so much for sharing and taking us kind of on a tour, a musical tour of VAMS. We are very close to the top of the hour. I just want to thank everybody for joining. I did put my email in the chat. I'm just going to read it out. The summer programs do have forms. I am very aware and deal with that myself, that typing sometimes is a challenge. So when you go to the online booking or you need help, again, reach out by email. We'll either help you ourselves or put you in touch with the right person. And my email is just all lowercase, Eric, spelled the the plainest way, ERIC, Eric at disabilityfoundation.org. And if you go to disabilityfoundation.org on the website, you'll see everything that's coming up, the calendar of events. And really, we hope for a great summer, a safe summer, a summer full of activities. Don't forget about the Abilities Expo happening on May 25th. You'll see us all there. We're all excited about that at the Roundhouse. But hopefully you have a great summer and do something that you enjoy. And hopefully one of the things you enjoy is doing activities with us. So on behalf of myself, Eric Molendyk, Program Manager for BCMOS, Tetra, and ASABC, and Mr. Bryden Veinot, I want to say thank you to Connect Together for giving us this time to talk about our programs. And thank you to anybody who's joined us here today live or is going to be watching this later. It's been a pleasure to talk about our programs, and even for me, get to learn more about VAMS. So thanks, Bryden, for joining me, and always stay tuned to Connect Together to find out more what's happening within the Disability Foundation. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.